Okay, so what we're going to do here now is we're going to fit a contact form with Recaptcha. The page that we're actually looking at right now, this is in reference to Brandom Consulting. We actually have this form situated with a Recaptcha right now. If you notice right here, it says "I'm not a robot." That's what you would call the checkbox for Recaptcha. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out. Let's go Tom beta T beta. I'm just going to fill out some details here. And this is fictional. Logo design. Yes, yes, and this is a test for Recaptcha. Okay. So, what we want to do here now is just click the little checkbox here. I'm not a robot. When we click it, it will kind of discover whether we are or not. Then we can go contact us. The purpose of the Recaptcha is to keep the bots, the spam bots, from affecting our forms and kind of filling up our mailboxes with spam bots. Okay, so and I know that form works, so we won't bother to check to see if the email came in. But like I said, this is going to avoid a lot of spam. Okay, so we're going to look at comparing code here now. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to resume here now. Just had to pause there for a while. So what we're going to do here is go to the contact form here. I'm just going to minimize this. And I'm just going to pause again for a second. And we're going to move on to our second video here now. So that was part one, and we'll have part two here now. Okay, so we're on to the second part of our Recaptcha tutorial here. The first part was basically just giving a small introduction to what Recaptcha is and how it interacts with a form. So moving on here, and like we mentioned, we're going to be going to the actual contact form. Now I have this set up into two sides. The first side is the HTML side, the HTML file, and then we also have a PHP file as well that kind of routes our action here. So back to the HTML page here now. I'm actually going to find the contact form here, and this is the area right here. I'm working within Dreamweaver here. Click here, and it brings us to the form area. So my form starts on this line right here, and notice just a little recap on how HTML should link in regards to a PHP file. My form action will let me know what PHP file we are actually using. So of course that would have to be exactly the same as the PHP file. Okay. Okay, so first thing we're going to do though, okay, we're going to actually generate the Recaptcha code. So I'm going to go back to my browser here and go to Recaptcha. And now I've already opened up my Recaptcha module here. If I didn't have this open, I could actually click in Google here, type in here google.com/Recaptcha, and it's going to bring me to this page. And by default, you should have an admin console over here on the left, and I'm going to click that. Okay, and this is what's going to come up with what I already have here. Now, if we want to add a new data for a new website for Recaptcha, there's this create button right here. Click that, and it's going to bring me into this area here. Now the label section, you can call that anything. Okay, we're going to start with the label. This doesn't need to be the official website name. It's just a label that we're going to call this particular Recaptcha series for the website. So this one is going to be Photo Jomo Recap 1. Okay. There's a couple different types of Recaptcha down here. We have Recaptcha V3, Recaptcha V2. We're going to be working with V2. Okay. And we're going to have the checkbox type where it says I'm not a robot. Okay. So next we're going to add a domain. Now just to get this specific, I'm going to go back to the... Okay, so this is part 3 here now. The stage that we're at right now is I'm actually going back to the PhotoJummo website to get the actual URL that we want to use here. So I'm going to copy that, go back to the Recaptcha page here, and I'm going to add that domain here. And photojummo.org. We're going to accept the terms of service. I'm going to leave my email address there as the owner, even though I am one of the developers for this website. I'm just going to leave it as is here. Generally what we do, just to make it a little bit easier to work with the code, the security, etc., to make it work more conveniently, is we check off the area that says send alerts to owners. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click submit. And let's see what it comes up with here. So I host and must not include any protocol path. Okay. So we're going to try it like this here. A little bit particular here. And let's go submit. And it doesn't want the www either today. Okay. Let's try that. See if third time's a charm here. And there we go. It worked. So for photojummo.org here, we have a site key and a secret key. Okay. Both of these are going to be used in different ways throughout the HTML and the PHP. So we'll deal with the site key here first. But let's take a look at all the code that needs to be generated here. So I'm going to go to settings here. And again, if we just go to our regular settings and we go to, you'll see this by default, the screen. If you go to the settings button right here, it'll bring up the screen that we just created. Okay. Your Recaptcha keys will be here. And what I would do first is go to see client-side integration. Okay. And I'm just going to check something here really quickly. Okay. So the next section that we're going to go over here is the Recaptcha, how to put the Recaptcha code, beginning of doing that and placing it in one of the pages here. Okay. So that is part 3. And we'll pause here. Okay. So we're on to the part where we clicked on the integration tab, and it comes up to this section here. Okay. This page explains how to display and customize the Captcha V2 widget on your web page. Okay, so the first part, okay, this is the first part right here. And on our HTML page, as you can see right here, HTML, we're actually going to copy this piece of script. Okay, that is right here. So I'm going to copy that. And generally where I put this is right under the title. Inside the head section, right under the title. It could vary, it doesn't need to be exactly under the title, but it does need to be in the head. Okay, so let's just reference this in the page that you already have. The HTML page, which is right here. And as you can see, that section is right here. Okay, right there. Next part. This next part right here, which includes your site key right here, this is actually just before your submit button, okay? So whichever form that you're working with, this needs to be just before your submit button, okay? So let's reference that inside the HTML form here. So if we click down around the form area here and we're looking for the submit button, okay, so here is my button right here, okay? It's inside a div. There's my button right there, and there's the Recaptcha code right here, okay? So that would actually be copied from the site, and of course the site keys are where we were looking before under settings. If we go back to this is our guides page that was created. That was a kind of a pop-out from the original page. Click back here. There's our site key there. Click on it, double click, and just highlight it and copy it. Then you can go back to your HTML and paste it in here. Okay, so that's your site key. Step 2 is right before the contact button, like I mentioned. Okay, and let's just check something here for a second. Okay. The next part that we're going to be doing is actually the actual script for the Recaptcha on the PHP. Okay, and we'll look at that in the next part. Okay, so this is part 5 of a Recaptcha. What we're going to do here now is we're actually going to select a piece of HTML code, or actually an HTML page, that we're actually going to put directly into our PHP page, okay? So what I've done is I took the original, the older PHP page from the PhotoJomo website, and I've created a copy of that now, which I'm going to make the new thank you page, okay? So what I'm going to do here is see where this PHP tag is right here. We're actually going to copy all of our HTML above the PHP. So it's going to replace everything right here. And we're going to leave the PHP as is for now. So I'm just going to have a little separator here. A couple spaces there. And we're going to go to the, I'm just going to copy the index page. I'm going to modify the HTML afterwards. We're just going to copy what's inside the index page. Okay. So that's all selected right from the start right down to the bottom. And right click and copy that. Then into our new PHP page, and you can see it says .php there. And we're just gonna highlight over this section and go paste. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to do when you're placing HTML into a PHP page in this scenario is you need to get rid of your top 2 tags here, your HTML and your HTML lang, if that's there. Okay, so you need to get rid of those 2, and they're gone there now. And you notice that it starts with the head tag now, because officially it is a PHP page. Okay, we're just including HTML into it, so we have to let the page know that it's actually PHP. Okay, so we do have the HTML here now. Okay, and if I go down to the very bottom, we'll see that very soon PHP starts right here. Okay, so our actual PHP is right here. What we're going to do now is I'm going to take the template that I have here, and that's the body PHP section from the current Brandom site, which is the working PHP. Okay, this is the one that actually works. So I'm going to take that PHP, which starts, I believe, on 279. Let's see, 279. Yep. So I'm going to take all this PHP, okay, right from the PHP tag, and it's red. Might be different on different work platforms. Okay, part 6. So what we were just doing is that we were copying all the PHP from this working PHP file. Okay, so as you can see, I have that all selected there now. It starts on line 279 on this one, and extends down to the end tag here. I'm going to copy all that and move over to our new PHP page, and I'm going to paste into the end PHP tag right here, the question mark with the less than sign, and just go paste. And let's go to the start of our PHP again. Let's see. What happened there? So it doesn't look like the paste went through here. I think that's the issue. Let's undo that. So let's copy that again. It looks like it didn't go through. So back to the Brandom page here. That's all our PHP. Right click, copy, and into here. Second time's a charm for the paster, and it is, we do have selected what we need selected right from the start PHP down to the end PHP here, and right click and go paste. There we go. Now it's pasted in there. Okay, and just be 1 second here. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do here is we have to actually change our variables. Okay, and some of you will recall from doing a contact form that we want to go back to our original HTML here and scroll down to where our form area is. Okay, and there's our form area right there, and I'm just going to find it through here, and we'll just pause here for a second. Okay, so we're going to find the form area. We'll look at that here in the next tutorial. Okay, so this is the 7th tutorial, and what we're doing here now is I've found where the HTML form is located on our index pages, which is the page that our user will see, of course. So now our new our new PHP page is going to be called this getin_rdex. So I want to change that here because, of course, the form needs to be called, okay, from the HTML page, or at least referenced. And I've made that change here right now, okay? That's in the form class, method equals post, action equals right here. It's the first line you'll see for your form in most cases. So what we need to do now is we need to adjust our names, our input names, to correspond with what's on our new PHP form, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and do this section because most of you who will be seeing this, you're already aware of this, okay? I haven't done that yet, but I do want to let you know that, of course, these names are actually changed on your PHP file. They're not changed here in the index page, okay? So I'll be back here shortly with you guys. Okay, so we'll resume here, guys. So what we have right now, I actually have the PHP form set with the proper names. I'm just going to save this. So our 3 names are email 4, name 4, and message 4. Okay, so let's just recap how they translate to our PHP section. So early on in your web form, in your PHP part of this, scroll down to the section, PHP starts right here. You scroll down a bit, and don't worry about this section for now. You go down to the email subject here, all this area here. This is actually the section where you place your, for example, email address right here. And then it starts into the actual variables, the actual names, okay? So here we go, email for, name for, message for, and of course this side has to be exactly the same, right? Now how it shows up in your contact form when someone submits something to you and you receive it in your email address, this would be set with these variables. These are the display names. These are the actual coded names that we used in our form. Name for, email for, message for. And then to have it send to your actual email, this from section down here. Okay, so this is part 8. We just talked about that we're kind of editing our PHP part right now. For example, I just kind of did an overview of the email for, name for, message for our variables that we need to fill on each side of here. Then, of course, we mentioned about how you receive it through your email account. This is the categories, and this is actually the named variables that have to be the same as what's in here and what's inside your HTML page. So next, what we're going to do, this area right here, this is actually how the form knows which email to use. This email for, and of course this is the same email that we used up here, okay? So that needs to be in there as well. Let's see, so next what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at how the Recaptcha code is integrated into this site. So first of all, let's go to the index page. Okay, and this is your HTML page. I'm going to go to the very top. And we need to be inside the head tag because this piece of code needs to be inside the head tag, and this is what I showed you guys earlier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go just under the title, make a bit of space here just so it's easy to see, okay? I'm going to go back to the Brandom HTML page, and I'm just going to copy and paste what's already there. So for now, and that's the script right here, okay? This is kind of generic. This would be the same piece you copy for any V2 Recaptcha. So like I said, I just copied that, make sure I have it. Go to the index. We've already got the spot created like we just did. Command V or Control V. And let's save it. That's the first part. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to go back and put our second section in the HTML portion. And what our second section is our actual contact form. Okay. But we're not copying the contact form. We're copying a piece of script from the contact form. Okay. So what we're going to do is go down to where our button is, and this is our Recaptcha part 2 right here. Okay. So this is our Recaptcha part 2, and I'm going to copy this. And right now it's just a template holder. Okay. I'm just going to copy that and paste that into just above our form button. I'm just going to scroll down to get it here. And it should take me to it there, and it doesn't. Okay, so this is part 9. So what we were just doing is that we're actually in the middle of copying this for the second part of our HTML page, which is the part of the step 2 in Recaptcha that goes just above the submit button. Okay, so I'm just going to find that. And I'm just going to scroll down here to wherever the contact form is. And here's our contact form right here. And of course, it starts with the tag form, right? There's our submit button right here. So now we know our code goes right in here. So just going to go back and copy that again. So back to our working form. Copy this area here from div, or actually from paragraph to paragraph here. Okay. As you can see, it's inside a div and a paragraph. And I'm just going to copy, go over to index, and right in here, I'm going to paste it. There we go. Now, one thing is that we're using a different site key here, so we need to get the site key that's specific to photojama.org, and we generated that earlier, so we're going to go back to that. And there's our site key right here, okay? And I've already got it highlighted, so I'm going to, and of course this is under the Recaptcha keys, okay? I'm going to copy that and go back into our HTML, and this is our index page still. And let's just highlight over that quote to quote here. It's in between the quotes. And I'm just going to right click and go paste. And there we go. So that's step 2. I'm going to save that. Now step 3 is actually the private key is actually included in, is also called the secret key, is included inside our PHP page, the new one that we've created, okay? Where this is we go to where our PHP starts, we just scroll down a bit, we'll see there's a secret key right here. It's not very far down, but it'll say secret in quote. So everything between these single quotes here, we'll paste our new secret key onto this, okay? So I'm going to go back to my Recaptcha page again. This is Google Recaptcha, and I'm going to highlight that. And as you can see, it says the secret key. You want to focus in very much while you're doing this, okay? Go back to our PHP page, which we're already on, and I'm going to write. Okay, so part 10. We're just about to copy our secret key into the area that we have here inside our PHP form. It's just inside the PHP tag, like we mentioned. And I'm just going to make sure I have that copied from here again. So copy our secret key, copy, and I'm going to go back to the PHP page right here. And I already have it selected, everything inside these single quotes, okay? And I'm just going to right click and go paste, okay? So now we have that code in there. So to recap, we have at the very first of our page, just inside our head tag, and usually under the title is a good area, is our generic script, okay? Then the next part is down in our form on top of our submit button. And just be a second here. There we go. There's our form right here. And here's our Recaptcha step 2 code right here, okay? And I've got these labeled, and I'll make these files available to you guys as well. So that's step 2. And of course, step 3 is our PHP file. And in this field it says secret with quotes around it. There's this area here that you need to paste inside, okay? And now guys, one other thing is that there might be cosmetic HTML changes that you need to make, very minor. I'm just going to check something for a second. Okay, so nothing else will need to be changed. What I would suggest is for your HTML page, for your PHP page, the HTML section, of course, the HTML starts above your PHP here. Whenever, generically, this is a thank you page, so you want to minimize the amount of content in there. And if you do minimize the content, it'll give it a better chance to work properly, okay? Usually my thank you pages, I try not to overwhelm with a lot of content, okay? For example, if I show you here, that index page right now will just look like what we have here. I would minimize a lot of this because it's only a thank you page, and what happens is after the thank you page, it actually gets forwarded to whichever page you determine you want to direct it to, and you know about that from the PHP forms, okay? Just like you learned in class, for those who were in class.